Charlie Jane, you've written about the importance of curiosity as fuel for imagination. But what is curiosity to you?
I think curiosity is the part of us that tries to fill in the gaps. We think we understand the world around us. It's really easy to get stuck in a mindset of taking things at face value and assuming that because we have figured out how to make our way in the world, we know how everything works. But most of us, myself included, are ignorant about most of what is going on around us. This is a good thing because it means that we have so much to learn, and learning is awesome. For example, you might think you know all about trans people because you saw a movie like Transamerica, or you read an article in the newspaper about us, but then you get to know an actual trans person, and you start wanting to know more about this person and their life, and the more you understand about this individual, the more curious you are, and the less satisfied you are with easy explanations that you had before.
And how does that connect to imagination?
You know, sometimes we use our imaginations to sketch in the details of something that we're curious about and haven't yet learned the truth about. For example, you might have noticed that a tree fell down near your house, and you might imagine that it was knocked down in a battle between giants. And it might be a little disappointing to find out that actually a truck backed up and knocked it over instead. But most of the time, I feel like curiosity feeds our imagination.
Whenever I start any project, I become obsessively curious about the subject. What I like to do is I like to ask questions. Like, where is this place? How is this place? What already exists in this time? The world then introduces me to the people. What do they eat? What do they wear? How do they travel? And all this helps better create a world. The more detail, the more realistic the world I imagine becomes.
Everything good comes from asking questions, as long as you're respectful. And that's why I spend a lot of time on research, which I think of as part of curiosity. When I do research and get more facts, including sensory details and a sense of familiarity, people and places can come to life in my mind, and I can start dreaming of possibilities about them. Like, for example, when I wrote my novel, The City in the Middle of the Night, I was obsessed with learning about tidally locked planets, which is where half of the planet is always in total darkness and the other half is always bathed in sunlight. The more I knew about these worlds, the more I needed to imagine what it would be like to live in such a place.
When I start my research, I start by searching for images first. I need to know what the place looks like before I can read about it. And Instagram has become such a useful search tool for this. After that, I start to read about the place in the world, how large it is, how many people live there, what does it translate to in my own time and space? Is it similar or different? And how can I make the place I'm researching relatable to me? But of course, curiosity doesn't always have to involve research. Often, it can just start with noticing.
Most of us have trained ourselves not to notice things, such as the unhoused people who are on the sidewalks outside or police misconduct. But we also miss beautiful, delightful things. I walked by this one house 100 times before I noticed all the gorgeous flowers that were painted on its upper floors. We close ourselves off from our surroundings in the same way we close ourselves off from daydreaming. I also think that if we are trying too hard not to notice the unpleasant realities, like the terrible things the police are doing in our name, then we're not going to notice the beauty all around us either. We shut ourselves off from everything, good and bad, when we choose to turn away from injustice.
That's true. I also think noticing may come about from just simply changing perspective. When I first moved to the United Kingdom, I was so shy and felt so out of place. I would walk with my head down, not noticing anything and always distracted with music in my headphones. So I had to teach myself to look up, look at the sky, stop listening to music. And that really helped me notice the things I was missing. So perhaps instead of going the same direction you always go, you can cross the road, look in a different direction on your daily walk, and find a new perspective. I also believe that if we don't notice things, we can't wonder about them. Is that true for you, Charlie Jane?
Absolutely, yeah. I think the first step is reminding yourself to be present and aware of your surroundings. And then the second step is asking questions and doing some combination of learning the real truth and inventing an explanation in your head. You start out by getting out of your perception bubble and noticing more of the world around you. And then you progress to finding or making up the stories that are in literally everything around you. Every piece of food you eat, every article of clothing you wear has a million stories behind it. Sometimes you find out the stories of the things around you, and sometimes you create them. And often it's a little of both.
So what questions can we ask ourselves to jumpstart our wondering and our curiosity?
How did this get here? What's the most sensible explanation for this thing I'm seeing? And what's the most ridiculous explanation? How would it feel to be in that situation?
I like to ask, when is this place? Is it in the past? Future? Is it in the present? Why is this place? Like, how did it come to be? What is this place? What is the fabric of the society here? What do the people want?
And this is a great time to try out some of these questions in activities.
Let's do it.
Yeah.